Okay, this next little bit is about timing. Now, the Lord has been opening up to me this understanding of where we are in time since 2020. I think that's when I really started to understand more dramatically this prophetic time clock in my life and how this all lines up. And although I have gone deep into that in other posts, he brought that in to this whole legal proceedings as I was typing these depositions, realizing that there is a prescribed order to a court proceeding, the ultimate court proceeding where Jesus is on trial and what we're about to see, the final verdict and all things set right. There's a timing on it. So as the Lord reveals things to me and I come to understand these, obviously what I'm understanding are what his words have said all along. And I'm so excited to share it so often and all these new understandings of how, like what it looks like in this earth. And for so long, I was like, but why now, Lord? I don't why am I seeing the fruit of this? Or, am I not just saying the same thing that they've always said? All the, the prophets and, the apostles, all of that for history since Jesus rose from the dead. What's any different? Because I feel this urgency in me, but what's any different than they did? And not that it's not, but this is where he brought me to. Timing. I did not realize how specific timing was in the court proceeding. The order of procedure, for lack of better legal terminology, is that in an opening statements, they present the arguments. They present what's going to happen. They give an overview of their case. They might talk about what witnesses are going to say. It's just kind of an overview, right? Setting up the case. However, the attorneys, during the actual meat of the case, that's when they present the evidence. That's when they're going to call their witnesses. That's where the documentation that they've talked about, that people have heard about, excuse me, that's where it can be put into evidence. So although it's mentioned, although it's explained before, some in more detail depending on the attorney, there's a specific time when it has to be entered into evidence so that the judge can consider it. Because until that time, the judge can't consider it. And I think that's really interesting. It's really interesting. I've heard a lot of talk about Esther the last year or two and this urgency, and I have no problem with it. I'm all on board for women to rise up into the role of like an Esther and go before the king and all that. There's so much in Esther. But this one little piece I'm going to pull out and just leave here for a minute is Esther 1:13 talks about how the king talked to the wise men of the time. They knew the times, right? Excuse me. They were the ones who were experts in law and judgment. They understood the times. That's who the lawyers were. They understood the time. They understood that there was a prescribed order to the judicial process. They understand the importance behind it. And I feel like the Lord saying, this is why the people who have gone before, the things you've heard, you seem to be repeating it. But because we've stepped into the courtroom, because my people are seated, the evidence has been presented, and the witnesses are here, this is the time that the judge is going to consider all of it and make his final ruling. And timing matters, you guys. We might not know, excuse me, the day that our Savior is coming back for us, but we know where we are. There's a prophetic time clock. The end of this age, we're standing at the door. Some have said it's opened. So here we are, child of God. Here we are. It's time to get excited about the unknown instead of dreading what we've been told, and to recognize that we are on the thresholds of the history that we are about to be in the middle of making. There's an order on purpose, and the Lord wants to hear your case. He wants you to present the judgments, the statutes that he wrote. He wants you to present them so that he can judge on your behalf, in your favor. He's a good God. He's a good God. And if you haven't met him, today's a good day.